So you're welcome to have as much of this as you want. If you've never had it.
I've had that. I've been hard pressed to find it. But
Well, that's the beauty of me. This is one of 7. This is one of 7 bottles.
Okay.
Of this, I have quite a bit of bourbon at home.
Okay.
Probably around 200 bottles.
Oh, that's quite a bit.
It's not a. I don't have a problem. I'm a collector. That's what I tell everybody.
Well, this is
I have that one.
Jackson got this for me.
The
for
single
my
barrel.
wedding
Is it the
day.
single barrel?
Small batch.
Small batch. I have the small batch.
I've never had it before, but it says South Texas corn and made in Texas.
Made in Texas.
Can't beat that.
You know, Garrison Brothers makes good stuff, and they've got some really high proof stuff, like high proof. I think they got. I think they got the. Thank you. They got one called the Cowboy.
Okay.
And it's I think it's a gold top maybe, and it's 134 or 136 proof. That's a party.
Wow.
You got to eat a whole lasagna when you drink that.
All right, the podcast is broken in now.
Yeah.
What happens next is not my fault. It's the whiskey's fault.
This is the high quality content now.
Yeah, that E.H. Taylor, so my mom's from Kingsville. We were down there Christmas time and couldn't find anywhere up here.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk into this little liquor store, and my dad likes to collect. My dad doesn't drink bourbon, but he likes to collect them just for whenever people come over and, have something unique. And we walked into this one, and they have a bottle of E.H. Taylor, and I asked him how much it was, and she's like $60. And I was like, deal.
All day.
Deal.
How many do you have?
Yeah, she only had one. She sold me one. And then we went to another liquor store, and I love Eagle Rare. I can drink Eagle Rare.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Whenever.
Same distillery.
Yeah. And walk in, I can't find it anywhere up here. Walk into another liquor store down there, and it was closed. They opened at 10, and we got there at like 9:55. And walk up, and the guy's waiting outside. He's like, "Hey, my boss is coming with the keys, but if y'all wait, I'll let you in and help you out." And we're like, "Well, we're gonna run down the street real quick and do some shopping and come back." And we came back, and he was like, "What are y'all looking for?" And I was like, "Well, I'm looking for bourbons." And he was like, "Any specific ones?" And I was like, "Well, do you have Eagle Rare?" And he's like, "We just got 4 bottles in yesterday." And I was like, "How many will you sell me?" And he goes, "Well, do you want to buy all 4?" And I was like,
See, salesman. He's a natural salesman.
Well, and I was like,
getting
what's
back
your
to
price
that.
point on this? And he goes, $35 a bottle. And I was like, I'll take them all.
All 4.
Load them up.
Throw on some gum while you're No, Eagle Rare is good. I do enjoy it. It's really good stuff.
For whiskey, isn't there? Have you ever had Japanese whiskey?
Yeah, I've had a couple.
Okay, what's the is it just made from Japan?
It's a different mash bill, different. I'm going to get this wrong. If there's someone listening that knows about this, come at me because it's just the way it's distilled and aged and barreled and things like that. There are some differences in what they use. I've had a coffee infused Japanese whiskey, which was really, really nice.
Interesting.
And I've got one at home that it used to be really hard to find. So I've never opened it. I've had it for years.
Dang.
And it's a little stubby square bottle with a real small screw top on it.
Unique.
And I'm to the point now I just want to bust into that thing and just see what happens, But no, it's good. I mean, it's all good.
Yeah.
It just depends on your palate, right? I mean, this is my favorite by far, but that doesn't mean that's bad. I mean, it's just,
Which one is that one?
Colonel E.H. Taylor.
Okay.
And this is a small batch, and they make a litany of different, there's a small batch and a warehouse C and a single barrel and different mash bills and a rye and all this other kind of stuff. But I'll pay for this one.
You like that one the most?
No, the others, I'm not paying that much money for that. It's ridiculous.
Dang. How much does that one cost?
This one here?
Yes.
It's kind of went up, but from $80 to $100.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is the small batch, but the single barrel, I know a place I can go get it right now, and it was $300 for it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but none of it's worth more than $60.
Well,
Dang.
didn't their distillery burn down? The Buffalo Trace distilleries burned down like 2 or 3 years ago.
That was
They lost like a third of their production or something.
that wasn't Trace. That was not Jim Beam. It was either Jim Beam or Jack Daniels.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the whole warehouse C thing with Colonel Taylor is that's the warehouse that got hit by a tornado.
Okay.
And all the walls and the roof were gone, but all the barrels were there. So here's the genius in the marketing. Jim Beam, that's who it was, yeah.
45,000 barrels Jim
Yeah.
Beam bourbon burn.
Didn't hurt them. They're
Yeah,
still going
no,
strong.
I mean, you'll never run out.
How do you
of
think that smelt? That had to smell pretty good, man.
There's
Burning,
probably people waiting.
burning
Yeah.
wood and whiskey. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was 2019.
Yeah.
You were saying
So
marketing?
anyway, so the marketing thing here, and warehouse C, right? And that's what the tornado hit, and there were barrels not destroyed in this, so they labeled it, and you look at the deal, and it says right here where it says small, it says warehouse C. I think it's blue or whatever. The thing about that is there are several other whiskeys that come from warehouse C. Some of the other Colonel Taylors come from warehouse C. I think some of the Blantons come from warehouse C. It's just a marketing deal.
Yeah.
So at $1,000 a bottle, or if you look up Colonel Taylor warehouse C, and you might see it for $20,000.
Yeah.
Colonel E.H. Taylor.
No, EH.
EH.
EH, the letter's not Yates.
Would you say DH?
E.H.
EH Taylor.
Yeah, warehouse.
Warehouse C.
See if you can find it. You got $2,000.
Oh my goodness.
See what I mean? It's the
That's I wanted to get into all this. Is like the style of the bottle, the whole marketing behind it. Like if they're able to sell. Do you think they sell a lot of these? $2,000.
there are people
buying
that
these?
will pay that. Yeah.
Yep.
Because you'll get guys, because I like to collect, but within reason. Part of the deal for me is the chase is finding it.
Yep.
And I can find certain things. I mean, there's a bottle of tequila out there. It's called Tears of Lorena. It's a gorgeous bottle. It's $300. It's tequila, guys. At the end of the day, it's tequila. You know, so I would love to taste it, but I found it. That's good enough. I know right where it's at. It's still there.
Yeah.
The two different liquor stores. There's a reason it has dust on the bottle.
So you
'cause
won't even buy it. You just like to know, like I found it
for that
Kinda
price.
like
I'm not that guy.
yeah,
You know, I'm just not that guy.
that's crazy.
I'd rather
But
buy bullets or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've had that before. So then, do you think? I mean, obviously, you just need, I guess, a certain amount of people to buy that 2,000,
I think so.
and so
Someone's going to pay for it.
someone will,
Well,
right?
most of the time, a restaurant or a bourbon club or some golf course will buy it, and they'll turn around and sell it for $200 a shot.
Yes.
And,
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's, and then you have some, guy who's trying to show off in front of his friends or has really expensive taste. He's like, give me a shot of that, and then
Yeah.
they only need to sell if they're selling it for $100 a shot. They don't
So
even have to sell them all.
that's fascinating because it's like a virtue signal. Like, hey, I'm high roller. I'm gonna buy
Oh, yeah.
this.
It's like a Rolex.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, I mean,
Bourbon
it's
snobs.
the secondary market for bourbon is just really killed it because there are certain ones that I really would love to have.
Okay.
Just like, man, I remember my dad drinking this or drinking something like it, back in the day, and I can find it.
Mm-hmm.
But God, I'd love to choke the guy out. $250, $300 for a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it.
So it's basically like the original manufacturer. They're not doing it anymore, and so the people buy it up.
There are some of that, but some of them they're still making. But like with Buffalo Trace, there is limited distribution, I do believe.
Yeah.
So they don't. So just because you own a liquor store and you say I want E.H. Taylor, they'll go maybe, and then they'll come down and say, we'll put you on the list for a bottle, but we need you to sell all of this other stuff that we make.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So you got to get all this other stuff that they make that may or may not sell, but you
Yeah.
got to buy a certain amount, and then they'll get you on the list for something that you want. And then like one of the places I go most every Friday, I go down and see this guy, and he'll tell you, he goes, I say, you have any Taylor? That's where I get every bottle of Taylor I have. I get it there. That's why I'm not telling you the name. But I
Just
go
ready to
down
look
there.
it up.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's got two down there right now.
Yeah.
This right here, and this is my favorite whiskey. But he'll tell you, he goes, there for a long while. He goes, yeah, I got two coming. And then I'll show up on the day the truck was there, supposed to be there, and he goes, they didn't ship them.
Yeah.
What?
We got two coming. Just kidding. I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
Do you think he sold them before? You got
No,
them?
no. Because several people have said that. Because this stuff won't come on the Anheuser-Busch truck, right? or whatever truck it is with all the other whiskey, they use their own deliverables, if you will, deliveries, I guess.
So then, for these like small batch whiskeys that we're talking about, the rare ones, is there anything like you're just saying it's just whiskey, right? It's just tequila. Is there anything that makes it that rare thing other than them just constraining the supply to it?
I feel like there's some that
You know what I'm
you
trying
can
to say?
taste a difference,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, it's not like it's going to just knock your socks off difference. I mean, there's definitely a difference between, that whiskey there and what you're going to pick up off the bottom shelf at Specs. But it's not going to be, if you didn't know what you were tasting and you gave it to, just some guy off the street and said, here's two of them, he probably wouldn't be able to really differentiate between the two.
This was the first whiskey I drank when I first got into kind of this endeavor of bourbon. I was drinking Bullet, which I really like Bullet. I make my own barbecue sauce with Bullet. Bullet, I love it. It's good. It's a good everyday drink. It's great whiskey. But I had been drinking that, and so I looked for this for 2 years before I actually found a bottle. And then when I found the bottle, and it was $200 and something or something like that, I wasn't going to buy it. I was kind of brokenhearted, but I finally found it. Well, my boss at the time, he calls me in his office one day, and he had put this bogey out there for this insane number of sales for me for the month, like 10 million or something like that. And I go in there and we're talking about numbers, and he goes, I got what did he say? I got a proposition for you. And he had this bottle. He had got a bottle. He had found a bottle. I don't know if he bought that one or what. And he set it on the table. And he goes, you hit your number and it's yours. And I exceeded my number. But we were going to Florida, and I took it with me. And that stuff right there. But we were going to Florida, and I took it with me. And this was the first time, after dabbling in whiskey for just a little bit, that I had took a drink of something and I actually noticed it was better.
Okay.
I took a drink, and I remember we were walking out to the beach to watch the sunset, and I poured a glass and I took a sip, and I remember stopping and going, oh, and it didn't make the week. I killed it in the week.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
So,
I got gifted a bottle of tequila. It's kind of along the lines that you were saying. It was probably a $230 bottle of tequila or something. I gave a guy a football ticket, and he gave me a bottle, and I was like, okay, no big deal. And I never really, tequila is tequila to me. There's some that might not give you as much of a hangover, or, whatever. But, man, we cracked into this one night, and it almost tasted like a syrup. It was really good, an extra añejo, really good tequila. And I was like, okay, we're putting that back up on the shelf because that's something special. Yeah. But, man, wow. There's a good difference, but not something.
I believe it. Just like, there might be a couple factors, like you said. There might be a little background to it. Like, this was the first one you kind of liked, or like you had at one time. Like, it was a good vibe going into it.
So
I could see that.
I've gotten into the chase, right? So I can find this stuff. I'm just not that guy. I got 2 kids or one kid still in college and one that's got student loans. I got other stuff to pay for and spending $1,000 on a bottle of whiskey. So I kind of went down this rabbit hole a while back of finding stuff on the bottom shelf under $30 that had been forgotten about. Because at one time, that was good. Yeah. Someone said that was good because it had an age statement or something like that. And I have found several under $30 that I could pour into taste tests, and you would think it was a $200 bottle.
So which ones would those be?
Old Williamsburg.
Okay.
It's a black bottle. So I think it's got a train on the front of it. It's $30, and it is absolutely outstanding.
Was Old Barton's? Is that
Old
one?
Bardstown?
Oh, yeah. My brother stands by that one.
Old Kentucky. And one I tried the other day, and I stayed away from this, is $23.
Okay.
And I stayed away from it because of what it was. I was like, I'm not drinking that. I'm not drinking that crap. Yeah. Wild Turkey 101.
I've heard that's good.
I was extremely impressed, and it was $23.
$23. Wow.
And it's 100 proof, which 100 proof is good. That's kind of where you want to be, I think. It's got a lot of flavors, a lot of body to it, and everything like that. But I was so impressed with it.
Yeah, I feel like bourbon's kind of like any other alcohol, wine, tequila. You can find some good deals just because it might not have the name, or it does have the name, it does have the
Yeah.
Wild Turkey name, so people just automatically think, oh, it's not going to be as good as a Blanton's or something
Exactly.
like that.
Mm.
So kind of works against them in that sense. But man, if you can find some good stuff and know what you're looking for,
Mhm.
you can find some steals.
That's interesting. Did you hear about the guy he was doing this with wine? He was he was selling like this really expensive wine, but what he was doing, he was getting like a cheap wine and just
Mhm.
pouring it in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that is going on right now?
100%.
Yeah,
So-
it's just a scam that
So
seems so
a lot of
obvious.
the regulations that came from that bourbon have in place are because of something like that.
Yeah.
So way back, I don't know if it was before Prohibition or after Prohibition, but you didn't know what you were getting. So you could get 2 bottles of that and it would be totally different because you didn't know what was in there. So bourbon has regulations on these are the things that have to happen for it to be considered a bourbon. Bourbon's different than whiskey.
Yeah.
Bourbon is a whiskey, but not all whiskey is bourbon. So there's things.
Okay. What's the difference?
I'm going to get some of this wrong. The main thing is it has to be 51% corn
Yep.
in the mash bill.
Oh, okay.
It has to be stored in, I think, oak barrels, white oak barrels that are charred.
Yep.
And there's 3 more things. Doesn't have to be made in Kentucky. That's
No. Yeah,
that's not
that's a lie.
true. That's not true.
Hell, we got bourbon right here made in Texas. So
Exactly. And it's pretty good.
yeah, it's damn good.
Yeah. Has to be bottled or has to be barreled for at least, I think, 4 years, I think, is the minimum.
Yeah, the biggest one's the mash makeup.
The mash
That has
is-
to be,
yeah.
That's the biggest one right here.
Hmm. Yeah. 51% corn.
Yeah, no more distilled at no more than 160
Yeah, you're right. Charred white oak barrel.
Yeah.
in at least 2 years.
Is it 2 years? I thought it was 4
Yeah.
years. At least 2 years.
At least 2 years in a new charred white oak.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's why, and it says the new because a lot of these winemakers are coming out with like whiskey aged cab saves and stuff like that because these whiskey makers can't reuse their barrels for new batches, so they turn around and sell them to the winemakers,
Yeah.
and it gives.
Oh,
Dude, that is something that you can taste a difference if you've ever had a.
I've never had a wine that had been in a
So
bourbon barrel. I've had a bourbon that had been in a wine barrel. That had been finished
Yeah.
in a
That
wine
sounds
barrel.
that sounds good too.
It's
though.
pretty good.
So there was one, and I cannot remember, but it was, it was a good winemaker, reputable winemaker, and I say winemaker, vineyard, and it was at Brookshire's for $13, and dude, it
All
was
day.
so good,
All
all
day
day,
long.
all day, and it was so good, and it was, it had like a sweeter finish, but real deep red. I mean,
Oh,
it was,
yeah.
and for a cab sav, that's hard to beat. So
I did not know
And-
that. That's,
oh, yeah.
that's crazy. Have you been to the Jack Daniel's distillery?
I have not.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I went last summer, and it was amazing. That's the only distillery in the whole world for Jack Daniel's.
yeah,
Yeah.
One factory or one distillery, and they explained the difference between Tennessee whiskey and regular whiskey. It was basically they steep the whiskey through, I think it was like these like rocks or something,
Hmm.
and it gives it that just like thing that makes it Tennessee
You
whiskey.
got to have a thing, right?
yeah,
Gotta have a thing.
yeah.
Would you ever, or have you ever thought? I know you're really passionate about this, like starting your own whiskey business, right?
So look, man, if I say this all the time, if someone walked up to me tomorrow and said, "Hey, I want you to come make whiskey and we'll pay you, close to what I'm making," I wouldn't even give it 2 weeks notice.
yeah, yeah.
A lot of it for me is I love making something. I love handmade. I love when people put a passion and their heart into something like that for pleasure. Like that's why I love cooking. I really like to cook because that's I'm serving you and I'm creating something that you're going to enjoy. Hopefully, right? And there's a part of that with whiskey. So that's some of the draw for me. It's you're making something that someone's going to enjoy. I would love to do that. I would
That'd
love.
be so cool.
Yeah.
Well, and I told him, I was talking to someone the other day, and I was like, the whiskey thing, I've got so many bottles, I could never drink.
Yeah.
If I didn't buy any more, I could not finish what I have.
Yeah.
I couldn't. We couldn't.
Wow.
We couldn't go through it. There's that many bottles. I have scotch, and I have Armagnac and cognac, and I have all kinds of stuff. I had a bottle of absinthe I bought the other day for some reason. So I got all this stuff. You just couldn't finish it all. So I'm to the point, and I've thought about it before, I want to start making my own. And I've researched it some, but I really want to get serious and buy this stuff and make my own and open it in 5 years.
That would be badass.
Have everyone over, pop a cigar, and we'll see what happens. It may be terrible and we can drink something else, but it may be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may be really good. You start selling it, and if you ever do that, I'll create a label for you.
There you go.
Do all that. We can market that.
Let's do it.
Have you seen at I forgot which distillery it is, but they have just a big whiskey barrel, and then you buy a bottle and pour it in, and you get to take a barrel or a bottle out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they have like all different types of whiskeys up on the wall, and you pick yours out and you pour it in to this barrel, and it's just a big potluck of whiskeys mixed in there. And then you can get you a bottle out, and it's just whatever's combined in there. So,
whoa!
I mean, that'd be crazy to see. What people, because us three could walk in there, everybody get a shot of something, and it would taste completely different.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. Where's that at?
I don't get me lying on it. I saw it on TikTok. But
there you go.
So, yeah, I wanted to do that. I think it'd be really cool.
It'd be fun.
And then, I mean, I imagine it's hard, but anything that's hard in life. That's going to end up being successful is going to be a little challenging, and shoot, who knows?
You got to put the work in doing something.
Yeah.
I always told the kids, I got 2 daughters, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
And I really do believe that.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. I mean, if you have passion and you're giving and you're getting back and you're pouring into people, whatever that is for you, but if you're doing that for a living and you're making a living at it, let's be real. You got to make a living. It doesn't mean you have to be filthy rich. You just got to make a living. You got to be able to eat.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can do what you love every day, is it work?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
hopefully you can find some happiness in that, some joy. So